Hi, I'm Jim Fielding, and welcome to Jim Fielding and Friends, a podcast where we explore what it truly means to live and lead with authenticity, kindness, and impact. Each episode brings together leaders who inspire me, people who lead with heart, break barriers, and redefine success. If you're looking for honest, insightful, and thought-provoking conversations, pull up a chair. Let's talk.
We can choose who we love. Nobody's letting go. Chosen family.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Jim Fielding and Friends. This episode's going to be special because you guys know I look for guests who I have authentic connections with, and some of my guests I've known for a long time. This is one of my shorter I've known, less than 2 years. But I would like to welcome Blake. Welcome
Hello,
to the
Jim.
show.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, so I met Blake through Joanne Martino, who many of my listeners will know. Joanne Martino was an incredible chief of staff, executive assistant for me, my really 10 years at Disney, including the entire Disney store period. And when I was going off on my own, I realized I needed help, and I called Joanne and begged her to come and work with me, but I knew I couldn't afford her. I couldn't afford her to leave Disney, but I wanted to see if she could do a side hustle. And she said, I can't, but I want you to meet Blake. So that's how I got to you.
Yes.
So Blake, tell them who you are, what you do,
Yeah.
and then we'll talk about us.
Okay, perfect. So, hello, I'm Blake Collazo, and
Blake does things.
Blake underscore does things on
Yes,
Instagram.
yes.
I do a lot of things, travel and things, but I currently work in public relations as a agency operations and culture person, as you'll find, and listeners will, I'm sure, gather. I'm a people person, just like you. So, being around the people, being in tune with people's emotions, that's like a sweet spot for me. But, through the power of connection, we met each other.
Huge.
While I was living in LA some years ago. I was dog sitting for a fellow Disney executive, and Joanne is now working for them. And so just through the crazy connections, while I was back in New York, she reached out and we're connected.
And we're connected.
Which is insane.
Yes. And so now he basically volunteers, I want to be honest. But you've been on the journey really since the beginning.
I've known about the journey.
Right. I mean, you've been in the journey from the beginning. We talked. I didn't have anything at first. And then, when I brought you on, and particularly with, as I've now gone full time into this, because for a long time it was my side hustle. Yeah. Here we are. So tell me, because you have to be honest.
Yeah.
So tell our viewers, our listeners, what's it been like? Because you're on this journey.
Yeah, and I'm fortunate enough to have been on the journey from the beginning of, the beginning of the book launch before it was released, and then to present day where it's evolving into a new brand, HiJimFielding.com, the podcast, which is very exciting to see. You're planting the seeds, you're,
for sure.
all these connections that you have. It's very interesting to see. Your network is very vast. As I'm 35 years old, there is, you've had more time to meet all these people and have these experiences.
For sure.
And it's just fascinating.
Yeah.
I know one of your mantras is lifelong learner. So am I. I want to see everything. There's actually a quote. I wanted to bring this. Okay. So growing up, there was a movie called Harriet the Spy with Michelle Trachtenberg.
Yes. May she rest in peace.
May she rest in peace.
I mean,
gorgeous soul.
I know.
One of the lines that she says in this, because she wants to be a writer in the show, she says, I want to see the world and I want to write down everything. Oh. And for me, I think writing has evolved. Instagram and social media wasn't around then.
Posts.
But that's kind of the angle I've shifted it in. But that's me. I want to see all these people in the world. I want to know about the experiences, their traumas, their adversity. I'm just so curious, right?
Yeah.
It's so much experience. And you bring that, through your book, through just your story. And
I love
incredible.
That. I remember that. I remember the movie. I don't remember the quote, but I love that.
Yeah. And she's very passionate about it. She's like, I want to see the world and I want to write everything. And I'm like, yes.
No, I think that's amazing. I think that's amazing. What Okay, so what has been your biggest surprise since we've been working together? I'm curious about this.
Okay, being very honest.
Yeah, no, please.
You know, people do have big networks, and you know they throw out names, and sometimes it's like, okay, make it happen, like prove it, right?
Yeah.
You're the real deal. I mean, not only from just like the guest recording, you know, while we're setting up the podcast, but you really like they're authentic, and you know you're not just dropping names to drop a name.
Yeah.
You know these people, and you have a relationship. It's not like superficial.
Yeah.
And like someone like Paul Kane, you've known since 18 years old. Like that's incredible.
I know.
All these years later.
No, I mean it's funny with you being 35. I mean, I just turned 60.
Yeah.
But I think about a lot of the people that we're having on the podcast and a lot of people you've met are from the second half of my life for sure. I mean, Paul happens to be one that was from the first half of my life, but I think we do share that. I mean, having worked with you now, like the constant curiosity, the lifelong learning, that you are a people person by far. Your relationship builder, you're like a connector, you're like all of those things. And I mean, it's gonna be good for you, because if at some point you want to write a book, or if at some point you want to do a podcast and you get to 50 or 60, your network's going to look different. It is. I mean, because it's just, if you continue to do it, I mean, I think that's been such a huge part of it's naturally who I am, but I also think it's because as you age, like I use the word vitality a lot lately. I want to be vital. And to me, vital means still being connected and still meeting new people and learning new things and, you know, going to new experiences and traveling to new countries or listening to new music. We were just talking a lot about music. All of that is about vitality, because I loved my dad to death, but after he retired and after he was mayor of Port St. Lucie for a while, but when he lost his reelection for mayor, he became very sedentary. Like he was kind of like, I'm done. And done to him, because he didn't have a lot of hobbies. When I think about the last years of his life, done to him was like watching TV, listening to news shows that I didn't like conservative news talk shows. But he was home, like he was at home.
Right.
And, you know, he would swim and he'd play with his dog and stuff, but he was just very sedentary. And I felt like he kind of said to the world, I'm done, right? Where I am like, I never want to be done.
Right.
Like when life is over, I hope that everybody says he lived right up until the end. Like, and he was constantly learning, I hope.
I think for me, like that perspective comes from growing up in a small town.
Yeah.
You know, like I was born in New York City, but grew up most of my life in upstate New York. And I knew that there was way more for me beyond the city that I grew up in. Like, you
It's
know.
like me with Toledo, Ohio. Yeah,
right.
For
like
sure.
Gay boy, small town. I'm like, I am so gone.
Yeah.
And I did. I went to the city as an adult,
Yeah.
had my first job at the Weather Channel.
Yeah.
I was not Al Roker. You know, I wasn't giving you your forecast.
I
but,
love that.
You know, that took me to LA. LA got me connected eventually through, I was a personal assistant, and I have a traumatic story. Can we talk about that?
Yeah,
Okay.
of course, we can talk about
So
anything.
I can't name names because I signed an NDA. It's
Yeah.
insane. But for the first time in my life at 26 years old, I witnessed like 1% wealth. And like where I am from, that does not exist.
Right.
Like private
Many
planes
people never see it.
doesn't
Right,
exist.
right,
Like,
right.
and when you hear 1%, you're like, okay, they're rich.
Yeah.
No. This is like I'm still baffled by it today. Like the amount of wealth that people do not realize exists in the world. Like I was spending $20,000 on sheets a day. And you might be thinking, why? The reasons are ridiculous. But that's the thing. Like it didn't matter.
Right.
And just that is such a jarring experience. And it unfortunately ended abruptly because to folks like that who have domestic help and things of that nature, you're disposable, which was a giant lesson for me on like controlling the controllables, leaving space for the possible. One of your things in the book.
Lessons,
Your lessons in the book.
Yeah.
So I probably sat on that a little longer than I should have because it was just such a unique experience that ended very abruptly, traumatically. I was also living in this 11,000 square foot home in my own place. And then one day someone comes in, says, not him, by the way, comes in and says, you're done. And I'm like, what do you mean?
It's
And
like
they're
a movie.
and there was a lawyer there. They put my stuff in garbage bags and they sent me to a Ramada Inn in West Hollywood. Okay.
I didn't even know there was a Ramada Inn
Me
in West
neither.
Hollywood.
Me neither. And they paid for the hotel for 2 nights. Did not pay for the parking, which if you know LA, that is a crime.
Yeah.
But it was a big pivot in my life because I was like, there's got to be something else. Like, I cannot do the domestic
Did that
work.
make you leave LA or did you stay in LA?
No, I stayed in LA and I ended up finding the right fit
Right.
for personal assistant work, which was an incredible interior designer. Shout out to Betsy Burnham Designs. She was like a second mom to me.
Okay.
Like, that's when I knew that was the right fit.
Right.
And also coming from a corporate world, working
Right.
for a,
So it didn't make you not like LA?
No,
Because many people have bad LA work experiences and then
it tarnishes.
it's LA. Yeah, like LA is just a bad place.
No, that was a bad person.
Right. Okay, good.
And I can separate the differences there.
No, that's smart. No, because, well, LA, I mean, listen, I lived in LA 18 years. I mean, it's by far the longest professional place I lived.
Right.
And it's a huge part of my story because that's the Disney story, that's the DreamWorks story, that's the Fox story. But I never really felt rooted there. Like I like LA. I love LA. There's lots of LA I love, and I miss my friends from there. And I miss kind of the beauty of LA and the fact that you can be in the desert and the mountains and the ocean, like all of that stuff about LA. But I never totally felt rooted there. And I think I was always the little Midwestern boy who was a little bit of fish out of water story.
Yeah.
I was swimming. I was making it work.
You were afloat.
I was afloat. I was paddling as fast as I could in many cases, but I was never fully rooted. And I think when I left LA, which happened to be, during COVID, I went back to the Midwest because I was feeling, my roots, I'm Midwestern.
Yeah.
Like I was feeling like I had to go back to my roots. So that's why I was curious when you have a bad work experience, because I never really had a bad work experience in LA. It wasn't that. It's just I did it. I was successful. I enjoyed it, but I never felt like I totally fit.
I agree with that. I agree with that 100%.
Yeah.
Of the places that I've lived as an adult, New York City, LA, I prefer the environment, the culture, and
the weather. Shout out to the weather.
Right. Shout out to the weather. Oh my God.
Incredible.
I miss that so much.
Exactly.
But I think there is something transient about that city. Yeah. New York City itself is transient, right?
Yeah.
There's so many different backgrounds, immigrant, like
it's literally
everyone.
moving, like the whole city moves.
But people stick here.
Mm-hmm.
You stay here longer, or eventually build a life. LA, you meeting someone from LA is a rarity.
So rare.
It's
an Angelino native. No, they're literally, and some of my best people from LA that I'm still in contact with are the Angelino natives, which is interesting.
Yeah. Well, because they've stayed. They're the constant.
And well, the other thing about LA is it's so neighborhoody. And I don't think I realized that when I moved there, right?
Yes.
But it's also like, because when somebody says they're from LA, if you've lived there, then you instantly say, well, where?
Right.
Right? Are you from the Valley? Are you from Santa Monica? Are you from, West Hollywood? Are you from Pasadena? Because that's all LA.
Right.
And again, when you move there, you don't realize that. But I'm glad to hear that because a lot of times I have met people who have had that bad experience in LA and it tarnishes the entire city, which is hard, but I get it.
I will say, I think LA wasn't that experience for me, but New York City was.
Yeah.
And that's the reason I moved to LA.
Yeah.
I was very tired of working in ultimately advertising. Just why am I working till 9 or 10 at night, getting a car service home, which sounds luxurious, but like you don't want to be there doing that. And for what?
Yeah.
I was not an executive at the time and that's, it would be different. But I was like, why am I busting my ass making a certain amount of money where I still feel broke, you know? Like, I hated that feeling. And so I was like, I want a life change. I need to change it up. I need to just bust out, do something different.
But do you literally, did that come to you like over time, or was that like this epiphany moment where you were like, oops, we gotta change?
Okay, so it was an epiphany moment.
Yeah.
I went to visit my friend January of 2015. I remember it because I ended up moving a year later on the same
so
day
funny.
that I went on that vacation.
Yeah.
But I went on that vacation. My friend lived in Glendale, which is a good taste of like not central LA.
Still LA.
Still LA,
yeah,
but
yeah.
not central. And so I stayed there for a week and I was like, wait, I want to move here. Which if you've ever lived in LA, everyone says that when they visit. They're like, I'll move
It's
here.
like we call it a Chamber of Commerce week, right? It's
Right.
like
You're just like,
perfect,
okay,
right,
I roll.
yeah.
But I was like,
Yeah.
no. I'm serious about it. So I got home, I landed, and I was like, can I come next week? Like, I'm serious. Like, I'm coming next week. So I did. And it was the exploratory, where am I going to live? What am I going to do?
Right.
So I said, okay, 1 year. I'm saving the bonus that I know I'm getting in 2 months. And let
So
me tell
you
you.
moved without a job?
Correct.
Wow.
I moved across the country alone. I knew one person. And people are
That's
like,
huge.
the friends that
Wait,
I've...
this was 2016.
Yeah,
so
so
you were
January-
young.
Yeah, I was 25 or 26.
That's young.
Yeah. A lot of people were like, you're crazy. And I said, not to me. Like, even my
But
best
that
friend.
was strong. I mean, that means you were strong.
Yeah. My best friend said, I couldn't have done that.
I
And
don't think a lot of people could do it.
No, but something about me, you know, growing up with a single mom, like
Yeah.
I started working young and we're best friends. Like I'm so
Yeah,
blessed.
yeah.
But something about not having my dad present, story for another day, you know, just not fit to be a parent ultimately, whatever.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, if I want something, and my mom instilled this, if you want something, go out and get it. You know, like I am not putting any stoppers or barriers on you.
Nice.
And still to this day hasn't.
Right.
She'll always support what I do, whether it's a mistake or not. And if it's the mistake, she helps me get through it.
Okay, but we know what that's called. That's called unconditional, and we all live for that.
Yeah.
Wow. So do you think that's where you got the strength? Was from that relationship? And
From my mom? Oh, absolutely. Like
so genetically and relationship.
Correct.
Nature and nurture.
Correct. And as contrast.
That's a gift, by the way.
Oh, absolutely.
A gift.
Like when I tell you she is my best friend,
yeah.
it's not just casual. Like
Yeah.
we deep life chats. Like we talk about her and having my grandma just turned 91. Like that's
Aging parent.
an aging parent who, you know, lost her husband and had only ever known life with a husband, and seeing someone, you know, sadly, like
Such a
fumble in
gift.
life, like they don't know what to do with themselves. But yeah, that connection is so powerful.
Did
to me.
that make it easier to embrace your story?
Yeah.
Like how old were you when you came out?
I came out when I was 19.
And you came out to her?
To her. Yep. 3 weeks into my senior year, or my sophomore year at college, and I came out over AIM. So throwback to AOL, AIM.
Okay, that is a blast from the past.
Okay, wait.
Like,
Okay.
That is a blast.
Okay, so
That made me snort. Oh my
brief
God.
coming out story. Okay.
Yeah.
So
no, I'm fascinated about this.
So I went to SUNY Oneonta. Shout out the SUNY schools in New York, and I hook up with my RA. Okay. You know, oops.
Scandal on Jim Fielding and Friends. Our first scandal.
Exclusive. He turned out to be an asshole.
Yeah.
But, you know, and like a rule you live by, no asshole rule.
Asshole rule, yeah.
Right. So positive energy only.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I've got to tell my mom. So the first person I came out to was my best friend, Christy. Christy was with me at college.
Okay.
So
that makes sense.
She was like, so I went to go hook up with him. She came to my dorm room and I wasn't there, but I told her I was going to bed early. So the next day I see her in the morning. She goes, "Where were you?" I said, "Oh, I was with this new friend, Casey." Okay. Casey was an ambiguous name.
Yes.
And I was like, he was really cool. And she goes, okay, but where the hell were you?
Slid that in.
Fully just over her,
Yeah.
like didn't care. And I was
Yeah.
like, is it this easy? Like, can I just cut? Is
Did
that
you
what it
consider
is?
that coming out?
To her. Yeah.
Okay, well, that was kind of coming out light. Let's be
Like,
clear.
okay, but then the real one. Okay.
yeah.
So after that happened, I think like literally the next day, 2 days later, I was like, I have to tell my mom. It's not going to be a shock, but for anyone who's ever had to come out, that experience can be like paralyzing.
Totally. It can be traumatic.
You can go through 100 scenarios until it happens, you don't know.
Right.
So I'm on AIM and I'm chatting like, hey mom, school was good today, blah, blah, blah. And then Christy's with me and I just start crying. I'm like, oh my God, I've got to do it. So I'm like typing and I'm like, oh my God, like I've met someone, their name's Casey and he's really amazing. And she goes, oh honey, I knew. Like instantly,
They do.
Oh honey, I knew.
Moms know.
But then I asked her, I was like, how? And she goes, remember when you were in junior year and we were coming home from piano lessons? Clue.
Yeah.
She asked me in the car and I remember it. She goes, are you gay? And I said, no. And she goes, would you tell me if you were? I said, yeah, but I'm not. She goes, okay, well, if you want to, you can tell me if that ever changes.
Well, that's amazing.
Right.
That's a gift.
But in that moment of coming out, you don't remember that.
No. I mean, it's so funny because, being on the book tour and you've been such a huge part of that, I get asked a lot, like I write about it in the book.
Right,
I write about my coming out story. And especially when people are allies or people from the non-LGBTQ world, it is usually they're asking, when did you tell your parents? That's usually, but what because we've written about this, I say to people, what people don't understand when they're not queer is you basically are coming out your entire life, because anytime you enter a new situation, you're choosing whether to share your story or not. Mm-hmm. And it's not like I'm trying to be difficult with people, but it's like straight people don't have to come out. Like once you're straight, you're straight, right? But when you're gay, every time you move to a new job, you move to a new city, you move to a new house, a new apartment, you join a new club, you basically have a version of the coming out story, right? Yeah. So like when everybody asks us our coming out story, and we all have them, it usually is our parents or our family.
Right.
And it usually, there's a degree of trauma to it. There's like a buildup and a plotting of when am I going to do it? How am I going to do it? You did it over AIM.
Yep.
My story, I told my mom when she was driving 70 miles an hour on a highway, because I thought, well, she's not going to crash the car, right? Like where she had to pull over on the side of I-75 in Toledo, Ohio, and we cried together. But
you see how remember those?
We remember. Of course I remember. It's funny. You told your best friend. I told my sister first, who is one of my best friends. But then she became my like co-conspirator, because then it was almost 2 years from telling her before I was ready to tell my parents, because I wasn't ready, right? I wasn't ready. And I couldn't have done them together. I knew I had to tell mom first. Like I felt more comfortable with that. But anyway, no, I get it. But the fact that she opened the door for you, like basically 2 or 3 years earlier.
Yeah.
And was like, when you're ready, if you ever need.
I mean, listen. Yeah. There's a certain privilege to some folks who are in the LGBT space. Yeah. Like if you're a gay man. Yeah. Sometimes you can walk into a room and people just know.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's completely unassuming.
Totally.
But to your point about, you're constantly coming out, like starting a new job. Okay, I'm going into the office. Yeah. I don't want people to look at me and think, wow, what a flamer.
Totally.
Like I'm just going to, no, because listen.
Well, you don't want to be stereotyped.
No. And, I'm not afraid of a fun print. I love bold colors. So like, I get it. Yeah. But also, I have a great personality, right? Yeah. Like I want to learn about you. Totally. Don't come at me sideways. Like, don't.
Well, it's not the only thing we are. I think what you're talking about is really important, because, and that's why I've been trying to switch the coming out to like inviting in. Like I'm inviting you into my story, because you and I have the same thing. When we enter a new situation, we enter with a certain degree of privilege because we're white men. Mm-hmm. And I think as I've gotten older, I understand that, right? So until I choose to invite you into my story, then I marginalize myself. Then I, quote, become a minority. Because, when I first enter a room, it's funny, when you and I met, you're like, oh, you're tall. I'm a tall white guy, right? And we also know there's been all kinds of studies about like height matters, and like, CEOs are tall and all this kind of stuff. It's just so stupid. But I do think, especially with what we're going through as a community right now, again, and our community is under attack for sure. I think the way we've always gotten through these periods is through sharing our stories and through being open and putting yourself out there.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I think we have to. What would you say to younger kids, like a younger version of yourself right now, thinking about this environment that we're in right now? Because it's pretty nasty.
Yeah, it's a little intense.
Yeah.
I would probably say now is not the time to not be yourself.
Yeah.
I think inherently by being ourselves, it's a political statement. I know that kind of statement is often said by some drag queens.
Yeah.
Because, you know, that inherently is just changing gender. And that's, as we know, a major topic. But I would say just you got to live authentically as soon as possible. As soon as you are ready. Ultimately, it's going to be on your timeline.
It's your decision, totally.
Right?
Totally.
But I also don't know that I would have changed how early I came out. But I will say this. I recently talked to someone and I was like, when did you come out? They were like, oh, when I was 16.
I know.
I'm sorry. For me, 19 was, I thought late. But now kids can, which is so incredible. They could be 14 and have a boyfriend or a girlfriend.
Or yeah, I mean, I think it's part of the reason I've loved spending time. Like, I've been surprised, you know, because you've helped me organize it, that I've actually done talks at high schools and stuff with this book. Yeah. And I'm surprised sometimes.
Or taught courses.
Yeah, where like the high schools even have me, right? And I do think, I usually, when I meet a younger queer person who identifies gay, straight, bisexual, non-binary, like, so, you know, so many things, I think my first inclination as like an old gay is I'm shocked.
Yeah.
But then I do have that kind of warm glow moment of, oh my God, that they're 14 and they're able to say that.
Right.
And they're supported by their family and they're supported by their school community or they're supported by a group of friends. Makes me, I'm not saying proud because it's not like I was like this pioneer, but I'm like, okay, maybe some of the stuff we did go through now is enabling that younger generation. I'm not taking any credit for it. Please hear me, listeners. I'm not taking any credit, but I do have this moment of glow of, you know, maybe it is getting better, you know, and I think that's so much of why I'm doing what I'm doing now, because I feel like, and to your point, I feel like we have to be out sharing our stories because representation matters. And there's so much false news. There's so much negativity. There's so much unkindness and outright anger and hostility towards our entire community, but particularly our trans community.
Just for existing.
Just for existing. For being who we are. Like, I'm, you know, Lady Gaga born this way. And I know you're Lady Gaga born that way. Yeah. And I feel like we have to create, like, my entire thing about authenticity and authentic leadership is creating physically and psychologically safe spaces for people.
Absolutely.
And the only way we can do that is by being us. All right, we have like short amount of time left, but I'm going to leave you like, what's one thought you want to leave our listeners with? Listeners, viewers.
Yeah, listeners, viewers, listen up. I would say, I'm going to circle this back, not to blow smoke, you know, but I really genuinely think about the control the controllable, leave space for the possible. Yeah. I cannot tell you
lesson number
how
one
much
in the book.
That really is such an easy initial way to like change a mindset. Like, you can only control what you can control. So, you know, I'm also love mental health, supportive of mental health.
Yeah.
Great. And I have anxiety that can sometimes be insane. But part of that is I would spiral.
Yeah.
I would focus on the things that I literally cannot control. I'm creating this story, that story. It's going to go this way, that way. Listen, until I'm in that room, until I'm in that conversation or doing the thing, I can't do it. But the best part too, leaving space for the possible, you are so much more, you like open yourself up to the universe to bring you whatever signal, sign, invitation. But then it's on you to say yes.
100%.
Or no, depending on whatever it is. But, you know, controlling the controllable, leaving space for the possible is really just a really good mindset for anyone to have.
It is. It is. And I love that you ended on that, because I think the point that you're making that I want our listeners, viewers, people reading this, even if they're reading it, is because you've learned that now at 35.
Yes.
And it took me till I was in my 50s to learn. I mean, you are a perfect example of why I wrote the book.
Yeah.
Because the key is, and control the controllable and leave space for the possible, is you cannot control situations, but you control your reaction to the situations.
Right.
That's what you have to learn how to control. Okay, that is a perfect way to end this.
Yes, it is.
Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me,
Thank you
Tim.
for taking care of me, because you know you do.
Oh my gosh. Wait, a quick thing for the listeners and watchers. Jim and I have been working together almost 2 years, and we've met today.
Yes,
basically
this is
today.
This is it. Our first physical meeting. We are a perfect example of this virtual world.
This virtual world and
this virtual world
connections.
and the glories of tools, Slack and Canva. Oh, by the way, Blake taught me Canva.
Yeah.
So important.
Jim has gotten so good. You guys, I'm so proud of him.
It's so crazy that I'm not. I've worked with so many incredible graphic designers, but I can get through it now.
Yeah. I'm proud
And
of
I
you.
actually like it. He knows the days where I'm like, I'm going to go in and play in Canva. But anyway, thank you so much.
Thanks, Jim.
The journey's just begun. We're going to keep
Sure
going.
has.
All right. Thank you.
you.
Thank you so much for joining us today. If you enjoyed this show, make sure you leave a review, subscribe, and follow us on your favorite podcast platform. We appreciate you and look forward to seeing you soon.
Choose